Hello, everyone. I'm Dan Lutz, and this is Stefan Rowe. We're here on the Dank Live. This is the 110th episode straight in a row, June 20th, and cruising right along. And we're so what's going on, Tank?
Man, a lot of exciting stuff out there today. I think one of the things I'm seeing that for the first time that I think is very exciting is accountability. There was a letter sent by some of the senators to Attorney General Barr, and they asked the question, and I did not know this was actually illegal, but I do remember this being passed with the Bush administration. But they asked him about investigating into Planned Parenthood and the illegal sale of fetal tissue, right? And they actually cited the law, and they wanted to know, did the FBI investigate it? If so, what were the outcome? If not, why not? And they basically they asked for a real, accounting of what was going on, which I thought was great.
Yeah, that is fantastic. So we're getting some accountability. Yeah, there's a lot of we had Trump gave his reelection launch yesterday, and everyone all the only one that carried it was Fox. MSN didn't even cover any of it, just took some pot shots afterwards. CNN had it for 2 minutes and dropped it. And they're just they're not capable of actually carrying the news, right? So even if you wanted to just say what he said during it, it would be appropriate. Now compare that to now the Democrats having their own group meeting right, for their candidates. I believe it's in Georgia for all of the ones running for president. But they're not going to invite anyone, no CNN, no C-SPAN, no Fox, only allowing MSN.
Really?
So it's kind of like they're going to restrict everyone. The only one they're allowing in is the most crazy one, MSN.
The Bill Gates MSN network, right?
That's it. Yeah, it's a Microsoft and
that's. I mean,
and
what's going to be like? It's going to be like, like transgender Pride Day. There, it's going to be crazy, right? Like people just having abortions on the scene and showing up in drag and going crazy. Like, what's that mean?
I guess they want to hide it. Why wouldn't they invite let's say even C-SPAN, right? Not just CNN, but C-SPAN. They're not allowing them to go either. So they really want to control the message. But I think it's just going to be so much mayhem crazy ideas and everything. They just don't
Yeah.
want it broadcast.
I
And they're
feel
going to
like it's going to be like it's going to be like the pump up rally of desperation, right? And MSN's the only one that's agreed to completely lie and make it seem like there's really hundreds of thousands of people there, right? It's
yeah,
going to be like,
yeah.
we have to beat this president. We have to beat him. We have to beat him. If not, they're going to go back to having kids again. All the work we've done to poison people, they're all going to catch on. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah, they just can't let everyone see that's their meeting, right?
I know, right?
Keep it secret.
Keep it secret.
Well, this is something that's not going to be kept secret. Well, any other news we can talk about? Anything with the new department, the defense secretary?
Kim did tell me that that was just an attempt to isolate the president further.
What was?
The Patrick Shanahan stepping down. The way that they went after him to basically blackmail him and things of that nature. Mm-hmm. So that was the goal there, and they were quasi successful, I guess. In a sense that they kind of did blackmail him. But I was told that over what's happening over the next 2 weeks. There's some other things going down over the next 2 weeks that are gonna, I heard Trump was talking about some exciting things going on, and I think that to be honest with you, can't talk about much, but I really think that we are about to break through in epic fashion.
Well, we're approaching the 4th of July. 2 weeks from now is 4th of July, Independence Day. So if that's the breakthrough day, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I'm not. I thought it was interesting about this the NXIVM sex cult, right? They're calling it.
Yeah.
How this I think is a massive breakthrough. They were able to get access to enter Anthony Weiner's laptop, into evidence to show some of the things.
Who was able to do that?
I don't know if you've heard about it's NXIVM. I believe it's all.
Well, no, I know that sex cult, but who is now
Anthony Weiner? Anthony Weiner.
Because he's in it, they allowed to get into his.
Because Anthony Weiner had tons and tons of things on his laptop,
right,
that were incriminating to a lot of people, but it hasn't been allowed. No one has used it yet as evidence for anything.
But who's going to use it now? Who's being allowed to get access? That's what I don't get.
Prosecution to the NIXVM cult.
Those prosecutors are now going to have access to it. Okay.
Right. And the cult leader actually said, children are perfectly happy having sex with adults, is what he said under oath. And so, but, so you can imagine the creepiness of that guy. So you can imagine Anthony Weiner was probably part of that, right? And I would imagine that, I would hope that traces back to some of the other scumbags up there in Albany, because it was based out of Albany. I hope it traces back to them too. But the fact that laptop is in there, there's a couple things that I know are on there, most particularly the footage of Hillary Clinton, defacing a child, flaying her face off, her counterpart there wearing it as a mask. And if that was entered into evidence, that means the entire laptop is now available to be used as evidence in any case.
Yeah.
And I mean, that laptop alone, there's 3 police officers who all had access to that laptop who all committed suicide in the past 2 weeks here in New York. So
trying to cover it up.
Yeah, I mean, they probably knew that was coming. They probably realized that those guys probably leaked it out. To be honest, I know I know this directly from the NYPD. My sources there that they did put that information out all over the place. The few good guys, but it's such a dodgy place, man. It's like it's like being undercover in the mob. Like half the forces on the take from Hillary Clinton. She runs the Citadel security, and a lot of guys moonlight for the Citadel. and that they'd pay a lot better than the NIPD. So
Yeah. Well, it's remarkable, a private army. You know, I remember this was years and years ago. There was always talk in California that Nancy Pelosi, her hired guns were all Russian ex-military. Right, so she literally had her own army that was all Russian ex-military. So again, who's doing the collusion?
I know, it's just crazy.
You had Dianne Feinstein with the Chinese. She had her Chinese ninja chauffeur. Ninjas are, I guess, the wrong terminology, but you know what I mean. It's like
wasn't that a character in like the Batman show, like the guy who would like take off his hat and throw it like a razor blade? Okay.
Yeah. I think that was in James Bond, one of the early
Oh,
Bond.
James Bond. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's cool.
kind of a hefty set guy, right, with a rounded bowler hat. And
Yeah.
you throw it and
Yep,
cut off
right,
heads
exactly.
and things. Yeah.
Right.
Very
So,
imaginative.
listen, a public service announcement for some guy. I don't know who it is, but people hit me up about this, and I want to clear up any rumors about Michelle Walker. Michelle Walker has not been kidnapped. She has been moved to a safe place, and she has not been kidnapped. So anybody saying that is not true. We are in contact with her, and she is safe, and she went into hiding for good reasons, though. She went into hiding for good reasons. So
Yeah.
just FYI to anybody out there, please pass that
Yeah.
on to some guy
No,
named,
that's good.
I think, Matthew
Good to
Beach or
know.
something.
Yeah. I pray for her safety and success in all the information she's trying to get revealed to everyone. I hope it goes to the makes it to the mainstream, that they start digging in and get it on Sean Hannity.
Yeah, I'd love to have more open lines of communication with Sean Hannity or just any mainstream media that actually has the courage to report on anything. But they get kind of hyper fixated on one thing, and that's all they report on. Especially with obviously like Sean Hannity like basically specializes right now in the corruption going on in the government, but I feel like the corruption is so much deeper. Sometimes I just wish I could get him to talk about those things. Um, nobody's really talking about you know uh, really talking about Kim, which is ultimately she brings this money in, and the whole world opens up. For the first time in history in our lifetime, you'll have people that'll actually have money and be able to hold people accountable. If we were just allowed to stand on equal ground, right? In so many ways, it's like you got a guy standing on each arm and a foot on our neck and holding our legs down, and then it's like, okay, now beat us. It's like how tough are you? I knew you weren't that tough. It's like, well, you got five guys here to hold me down. I mean, if you didn't have these five guys here, maybe it's just one of us. We'd have a little different conversation. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, there's so much is going on, but I've been trying. It's almost like there's too much. What do you want to focus on? So the thing is, Sean Hannity. I mean, he's very much focused on the D class, the bringing the people to justice bar. So that he's going to be on that. It's going to be hard to remove him, off of it. But these other things, can be brought up. I think Dave Janda would also be a very good source for Michelle Walker to get that information out, right? Especially on the MERS system. I mean, that just pierces the veil right there. Getting the MERS system across the board would really, if there was an investigation of all the details and laid it out so everyone could see the components, it would get everything from the birth certificate entities all the way over into Wiener's laptop. It would be a total revealing of everything.
Well, this gentleman we're going to have on Friday, right? He basically said that you know, like when he reached out to me, he said, "Tank, the reason why people aren't listening is because of the water, right?" He was saying because of what's in the water and what the effect it has on people. So we know, in addition to all the damaging health effects, fluoride has, and also the reports from the Nazis was that it created a more docile prisoner and less creative, right?
Yeah.
So it's very hard for people to conceive of things that are outside of what they've seen with their physical eyes, right?
When people are poisoned, just think about it. They're depressed. They're everything about them, their energy level, everything they're ill, right? They can't focus their attention on their body has to be for trying to repair themselves, right? And so it's taking their energy and devoting it to try and staying alive. So it's obviously any kind of poisoning is going to end up distracting the body from other things.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, but I think about it, it's like, well, a lot of times I talk to a lot of people about this. Like, you give them solid evidence. I mean, we keep we keep dropping bombs on the cabal. I mean, we keep putting information out that's like, here is the legal document, here's the law, here's the Constitution, here's what the Constitution says. I keep thinking about these fundamental liberties, right? And before 1978, the ownership of property was a fundamental liberty. You couldn't just change it. And they amended the Constitution, right? Which I don't know how on earth that's even possible. I mean, you shouldn't be allowed to do that.
Well, you can only amend it with 2/3 vote of all the states, right? All the states have to vote, and that's not the senators. That's the states voting. So it's not the representatives. It's not the senate. It's the states have to vote 2/3 to change the Constitution. So the last time that it happened was literally, the real one was the 13th Amendment, or the titles of nobility. Anything after that was not under the Republic. So actually, it'd be interesting to bring back the Republic, and then also have it. Also, what would be gone would be all the rules and regulations and everything that are part of USA Inc. So,
well, I mean, yeah, I mean, really, if you look at it, you see, you have this illegally formed corporation, right? That is taking over the government, and at this point,
I want to just say that it actually was legally formed, but it was erroneous in that they presented it to the people as the continuation of the country, when it isn't. It was a management system put in place because of the unadjourned Congress meant that they couldn't re-adjourn. So it was put into a state of literally, it's a perpetual limbo. So reconstituting it would mean, literally starting from scratch. I'd say pick up the original document, say, okay, let's vote on it again, right?
Yeah. Well, but I mean, I guess I look at the activity of it, right? I mean, I don't care what the corporation is.
Sure.
The intention of it is to overrule constantly and repeatedly the Constitution, and it's very obvious in what's happening now. I was watching this case, and I couldn't believe it was a real case. These social workers, they had lied outright, fabricated evidence against parents, and perjured themselves, and they were trying to defend whether or not that was constitutional to do so. How, in what world, if you are creating evidence and then you commit perjury, these are already statutes that are known crimes, right? So how could that be made constitutional? Well, it can't be, you know. So there is a movement right now, and I just want to put this out there to anybody. Yeah, I think the website is parentalrights.org, and they have a petition going around to get the Constitution amended to add the language to put the parents' rights for the care, custody, and control of their children is a fundamental liberty that is guaranteed, just like an unalienable right that cannot be taken away from you by anyone. You know, and and the only exception would be in cases of actual abuse that are taking place, right? So what they're doing is they're basically saying, "Oh, we're acting in the best interest of the child," and so I can say that too, right? I can look at somebody else's kids and say, I can raise your kid better than you, and now I just create a case that I can go in and take your kid, right?
Yeah.
And that's all based on opinion. You can't really prove that, right? Unless there's actual abuse. So, unless there's actual abuse, you can't do that. You can't put people in that situation. So, I'm just
Well,
amazed.
you get into the issue of spanking children. It's like oh well, that's abuse, or is it abuse not to spank the children?
Well, I know.
You can make the case both ways. Whether you're a supporter of spanking, corporal punishment, or not. It's the right of the parent to use that, and it was the old adage: "Spare the rod, spoil the child." And it looks like we have a bunch of spoiled children, running around, acting entitled to everything. And then when they're pushed and provoked, they act out and they get into the hissy fight.
Yeah.
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 They become violent themselves. They don't learn at an early age how to act appropriately. And it's it's like how many times you see children in a store when you're out shopping and they're running amok, right? And they won't listen to their parents, right? I saw it happening more and more and more and more. Then they don't bring the kids anymore. That's their solution. They would leave them at home.
No, I do think kids need boundaries. I've never had a need to strike my children. I've
Yeah.
raised my voice to my kids. It's. I mean, I remember watching my son when he was 5 years old burst into tears just because he felt he disappointed me.
Yeah.
So it's I remember.
I got it. No, I got it. But I don't want to take that away from parents that say that it's their right to spank.
No, and I agree, and I agree because there's just cultural differences too. If you were raised in a black family in the South, you probably got spanked as a kid. And
yeah, go get the switch off the tree. You go have to pick your own.
Yeah,
your own switch.
I remember.
I remember, the vice principal of the junior high that I went to, right? Was the most feared one. It's not the principal because it's the vice principal that got assigned the swattings, right? And they'd have a bat with holes. How many holes were drilled on it? So a whistle. It was all about. It was part of the school system to do paddling.
Wow, man, that's like fraternity hazing. That's crazy.
Yeah, actually, but you know what? All the teacher then in the class would have to say, "Would you like to see the vice principal?"
Of course, right.
That's what they have to say, right? And everyone would just straighten right out.
No, you know what? I went to a Christian school when I was a kid, like for kindergarten and first grade, and I remember they had a paddle that hung on a hook on the wall.
Yeah,
and it had a picture of Jesus on it, lighting a candle. And I watched this one kid. He just could not behave, man. He got his butt whooped all the time. Now, in hindsight, I'm like, I feel like there was no corporal punishment allowed. I don't know how that was possible, but that school was terrifying. I hated that school. My gosh. Yeah, scary stuff.
Yeah, but I know going out to California, I went, from high school in Pennsylvania to high school in California, and it was quite different. Actually, literally the day I arrived, they had just completed a drug raid on all, and they popped open all the lockers of all the students and did a search, right, and cleared out like so many people there that were selling drugs, and but you know. But the people there, they were wild. They were not disciplined. The classrooms were pretty much, just wild. And it's hard for the teacher to basically, compared to what I left, everyone was orderly and they all, were there on time, and they took out their books and they turned to the page. It was quite different. So where was the level of education? That I noticed, the difference right away is that I was already just in the books that I was already being given was books that I had had 2 years prior in Pennsylvania. So it was like 2 years difference at that age and what they were teaching. So why I actually ended up going to UCLA while I was still going to high school.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
For more, because I was not challenged in the least, right, at what was going on there. But again,
yeah, I saw that when I first moved to New York. I was a teacher, and I could not believe that we were in the same state. I mean, where I grew up, I mean, the whole town revolved around the high school. Everybody. I mean, and my school was amazing. Like everybody graduated, everybody went to college. I mean, it was just known. I mean, it wasn't a matter of like if you were going to college, it was just where, you know. And I came down to the city, and one of the schools I worked at the beginning was Hillcrest, and they graduated 1 out of 25 kids that entered freshman year. And basically, you would have had to join a gang just to survive, to stay at that school. Because it was just such a violent school. I watched a kid. I watched a wave of students, teachers, and principals, deans coming down the stairs one day. I was like, "What is going on?" Right? And there was one girl beating another girl with a name belt, and she was wailing her over the head, saying, "You will remember my name." I mean, it sounds funny, but it was terrifying, to be honest, at the moment. But stuff like that, like I never saw anything like it. When I was like, how is this a real school? I was also about 100 feet away from 3 murders when I first moved to the city. The first year I was here, I was within, just I walked out of a store, got across the street, and somebody got shot. Like I just crossed the street, walked to the. I mean, there was 2 murders across the street from the school where I worked. So it's amazing the difference. It's amazing the difference.
Yeah, I've never been that close to a murder, but that would be jarring in itself. That I'm. I feel like we have so much more positive things that are happening, and we're in seeing, Trump's, relaunch of his campaign. The this stuff coming out of Serial Brain 2 that we've really got. We now have something that's happened out of England that maybe we actually have independence. Can we start routing out all of this deep state garbage and removing it from society? I think so. I think we're at this new beginning. So I'm excited.
I agree, and what I'm looking for right now, because I just don't think it can happen unless this happens first. Is it's the same thing I talked about the other day. There has to be a success story, in the sense that the people have to break through, right? We have to be included to where our voice counts, right? There has to be a time where it is no longer an impossible dream to actually, based on your merit and what you deserve, based on your ideas, based on your integrity, your intelligence, your efforts, right, your character, that you're able to excel to real heights and do something exceptional. I look at Alexandria Cortez, right, who answered basically an acting call, as a bartender, and suddenly she's a congresswoman, right? And I love for her to be a great success story. I genuinely mean that. I would love for her not to be, just completely manipulated and moved around. And I'd love to see her do something great because it would mean great things for, Hispanic people in the Bronx. It would mean a lot, but it means
Yeah.
nothing because she's making a mockery of herself. Every time she talks, she says something else stupid, and it's just terrible because they're coaching her in a way that is like, just make yourself, be this cute character and talk about these horrible ideas we have. And whenever she talks about them, she doesn't make them more credible. She makes them less credible to anybody who's discerning. And but I guess she must have support somewhere.
I guess.
Well,
It is amazing. She was talking about concentration camps are the same as what's on the border. Needless to say that Obama's the one that set them up, right? This was his
right.
system that was put into place.
Well,
So
I think they keep trying to give her real information. By the way, like the order is telling her, like, this is what happens here, right? And they're telling her, like, Obama said, like, they probably didn't say Obama, but these were set up to take people and harvest them, right? And so she's like, oh my gosh, it's like the concentration camps, right? And she's just dim, and she doesn't realize they're telling you what they're doing, not what Trump's doing, what they're doing, right? And now I don't think they're doing that at the border right now, but I think that is what the original setup was for. Hold them in these things, take their kids. Like, why would you take their kids? Why would you do that? Now, the only reason that would make sense now is because you have, one person coming up with 7 kids. Like, they're obviously not all his, and they sell them off and do whatever. But
yeah,
interesting to say the least.
it is amazing though to see that this is that she just goes out there. I think she was literally to wake up and start actually thinking a little deeper, seeing what she's actually talking about. See that there's something that she's missing. She could actually end up being a force for good, but I don't see it happening. You know,
Well,
it's
I'm gonna back whatever the. I mean, if Cortez doesn't come around, and I expect that by the time that the next elections come up for the Congress person and Bronx and the Queens, I'm going to back. I mean, I'm going to do all I can to find out what's the appropriate way to throw resources behind that, and really do my best to find candidates who understand what's actually happening, who can make
well,
intelligent decisions.
yeah, I hear that Craigslist is good for that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm going to do a casting call. That's what I was trying to say. Yeah, I'm going to do a casting call, and I'm going to create the character, and I have, you know, no, no, but you know what? I think this next round of congressmen, one of our guys, Josh Conway, mentioned he was going to run for Congress, and I am about it, man. I'll tell you what. If we had more guys like Josh Conway in there in Congress, we would certainly be a much stronger nation.
Well, that is it. We actually have to put the people in office, right? That really want to take on this challenge, not jump into the system and see how much they can make. But literally recognize the transformation that is happening right now with Trump and assist in it, right? And tear down all the garbage, and really get down to the bottom of it. Get to what's happened with the actual history, the true history.
Yep.
What's happened with the cabal and how that's come about, and then what's happened with JFK and Reagan, and now Trump. They were all persecuted. They were taken out by the cabal in one way or another, except Trump. He hasn't. They have not succeeded, and they won't succeed. He's winning.
I heard that there's no signs up for Trump and Pence. You'll notice, right? So that makes me wonder who he's going to have be his VP.
No, I doubt he's going to be the VP.
No, I know.
I mean,
Who would you put in that place?
Yeah.
Trey Gowdy?
You know who I think the VP is going to be?
No.
It's really out there, but it's JFK Jr.
Wow, that'd be crazy. That'd be amazing. That'd be the best campaign of all time. I'd be like,
Yeah.
oh, conspiracy theory just met reality. What?
Yeah.
That'd be amazing. Love it. That would be amazing.
Yeah, because then who are the Democrats going to vote for then? They
Oh
vote
my
for Kennedy
goodness.
as vice
Dude,
president.
if he does come out, I know he's got a song he likes, but I want him to come out to Right Now by Van Halen. It'd be awesome. I would love that. Right Now. You can't wait until tomorrow. I love it. I hope he does. I hope he does.
Yeah,
Love
is that just think about the dynasty that would be forming then, right? It would be a Trump Kennedy dynasty where their family members, are going to carry on for the next, 40 years, unseating all the different things that have gone on and making sure we stay on track. Uh, I can see that this is really the change that is necessary to unseat the central banking system around the world, and whether or not Russia and China are part of it or not, but I think that they will. I think that they want to get rid of the central bank system, just as much as any country should.
Russia's already kicked out the Rothschilds.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah. That's why they're on the bad list. Right? Even on the naughty list.
Right. That's why everyone always talks about Russia as being our enemy, but they took out ISIS, right? Like you guys know that, right? like how are they our enemy unless we're ISIS? I mean, they're not doing anything to hurt us.
Yeah, I know. It's very strange, right? It's like this walk that the mainstream media tries to walk, right? We're against ISIS, and we're assisting Russia in destroying ISIS, but Russia is bad.
It's like, well, I think most of the research is based on Rocky IV, right? So, so it's like, well, obviously they're bad. They're using steroids in this movie, so
yeah,
I got it. It's just crazy. I mean, yeah. So I'm excited, man. I'm even these. I feel like there has to be a balance struck that we can talk about these things that are a little dark. I mean, not little. I mean, they're dark. I mean, there's no way around it, right? But we've got to realize that once, I mean, the reality is that we have taken this back, right? We've taken the world back for humanity, and so now let's look at these, horrible things, integrate them into our history and the reality of what we have been through, and celebrate the accomplishment of overcoming that, and never let it happen again. And I think that's very powerful and very positive, and I think we can do that. I think we have to do that. So I'm in good spirits, man. I think things are all coming together at just the right time.
Yep. Yeah, I think so. Well, we are going to have some interesting times coming up. Well, anything else we should cover? I do want to get going a little bit early today. I've got to take off for another trip to Manila for a meeting.
No, I will say that tomorrow night should be a great night for us and for everybody. We're expecting very good news, and I hope we get to share that tomorrow night. If that is the case, stay tuned for an emergency live broadcast at whatever time I get the news, if it works out. Okay.
Yeah, let's do the emergency live broadcast.
Exactly. Great broadcast, like breakthrough. Make that happen.
Yeah. All right, let's go. All right, everyone. Talk to you later. Well, subscribe, share, thumbs up, and we'll be back tomorrow. And we'll see. Maybe there's special news.
All right. Good luck with your meeting, man. Talk to you guys later.